This is my short course based open wheel modified dirt oval car. One of the first things I had to address when I first did the conversion, took it to the track, is grip in the front end. The way an off-road short course truck is set up, there's an awful lot of Castor in it. It's 30 degrees of Castor angle in it. I'll explain more about that in a minute. But basically what it does is it makes the tires lean quite a bit when you're turning. So the more you turn the wheel, the less contact patch you have in the front tires. The only time you have full contact with the surface is when you're going straight. It works great when you're on very loose dirt, loose surfaces, just bashing around. That's just fine. When you're running on a hard packed clay track, long sweeping turns, need to carry a lot of speed, does not work. As soon as you start to go into a turn trying to carry any speed, the front end starts to slide, and of course your first reaction is to give it more steering input, which gives you less contact patch with the surface, less grip, and it pushes even worse. So I made some changes to this to give it a little bit more, actually quite a bit more front end grip. And in case somebody is wondering how to do that, I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So you'll have an idea what to do if you want to do this kind of conversion. You want to run this type of race car. And let me move the camera, and I'll take the body off, and I'll explain more in detail exactly what you got to do. Okay, let me get one of these front wheels off. Have the front suspension assembly. You can see the C hub here, and of course control arm. Yeah, I got bored and painted some of this stuff silver just so I could see it sticking up from the body. The original spindle, steering knuckle, whatever you want to call it. So basically what goes on with these is the way the front arms are mounted. It's mounted, instead of being flat, it's mounted up at 30 degrees, and the original C hubs are the way they're set up, and I got that upside down. The way they're set up is there's a straight through hole that the suspension pin goes through, and that holds the C hub back at about 30 degrees, and that's what causes your problem. What you need to do is take some of that Castor angle out to get it to stand up a little bit straighter, and that allows it to have more contact patch on the racing surface. So I used two parts. This truck is originally started as the Reflex DB10. It's the same thing as the Trophy Rat or the Pro SC10. Associated parts are pretty interchangeable. This is I got the B5 buggy bulkheads. Man, I'm having a hard time talking today. And this is what the original bulkhead looks like. This is the one I took out, and it's sandwiched in between the shock tower supports and the bottom of the chassis itself. So it's sandwiched in there, and this plate in the front is what attaches here to hold the pins in, keep the pins from scooting out. Now the B5 part comes with two of these bulkheads. This one is the 30-degree bulkhead, And it also comes with a 25-degree bulkhead, which means that the angle of this section is turned down just a little bit, so it flattens out the arms about 5 degrees, and that helps. The one thing you'll notice the biggest difference between these two parts is the B5 has these little knobs sticking right out of the front, and the original part does not. That's because the B5 uses an aluminum part that goes over these knobs and it centers it. This particular style, just using a flat piece of stamped steel, wouldn't fit over those knobs. So I had to use a file and some sandpaper to get those knobs down flush, so they were just like the original. And then I was able to put that in there and install it just fine. The next part I used was a B6 Castor and steering block assembly, and I'll show you what's different about those. This is what's left of the tree from the Castor blocks that came with it. But the way these Castor blocks are made for the B6, instead of having the straight hole, they actually have an oval shaped slot in them for these inserts. And these inserts come on this tree, and they are 0 degree, 2.5 degree, and the 5 degree that I've got installed. And what I did was I installed the 5 degree inserts in such a way to help bring the C-hub further straight up. So instead of 30 degrees of Castor, now this car has got 20 degrees of Castor and allows for a lot greater contact patch when it's going through the corner. Another thing you can do if you still want to get a full contact patch is figure out about how far you have to actually turn the wheel to smoothly roll around that corner that you want to make, and then adjust the camber rod to make sure that the tires are perfectly flat on the surface when you're at that steering angle. And that's what you can do to get the, man, I cannot talk for nothing today. That's what you can do to try and make sure you're getting the most grip possible out of your tires. From there, you can go into working with, spring rates and shock angles and experimenting with different things to try to make the car handle as neutral as possible. So what you want to try and get to eventually is having the front end start to slide and the rear end start to slide at the same time. That's what they mean by neutral. Once you get to that point, then you could really dial in and get the most speed possible through a corner. But hopefully this will help somebody. If not, sorry, but I'm just hoping the beginner may get some helpful hints out of this. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.